Wherever there is manual handling, there is risk. Whether you're lifting, pushing, or pulling objects, reaching or twisting to access hard-to-reach places, or positioning your body in a specific way to complete a task. The risk isn't always high, but it is a constant presence, and it can become more serious as tasks evolve, conditions change, and more hazards are introduced. A team is transporting important parts and tools to a turbine, and the parts and tools are heavy. So first, they use a crane to move the load from the CTV to the turbine. Then, they need to move the load a few meters across the platform. Because the load is heavy, they're supposed to split the weight into smaller bags to reduce manual handling risk. But that takes time. And they're already behind. So, the operator decides to drag it the short distance. But as they do, it was a mistake, but an understandable one. The solution in place was long, and with the time pressure, they made a decision. A decision that led to a musculoskeletal injury. Let's rewind to the problem. In the moment, the operator felt that the plan to split the heavy load into smaller bags would take too long. But what if the platform had been designed so that they never needed to lift anything in the first place, no matter how heavy the load? With an integrated solution where the crane that lifted the load could also move it to where it needed to go next. That's the core of designing out risk. Designing equipment and tasks in a way that accounts for risks with a clear understanding of how the related work will actually be done. And design isn't just for designers. The team can also work to design out risk in their solution. There are many older sites where you might encounter issues like this, and in many cases, the equipment can't be replaced immediately, if at all. And you still need a way to complete your tasks safely. In this case, that might mean using a wheel-based manual handling aid to move the load once on the platform, or splitting up the heavy load before you reach the platform, or even just using multiple people to lift it. Whatever the solution, everyone has a role to play in designing out risk. Let's look at another example. A crew are in the final steps of installing 8 new turbines. To lift bolts into the flanges of each tower, they use a bolt handling crane to reduce manual handling. However, as they're nearing the end of their work, they discover that the crane isn't able to reach some of these flanges. A cabinet pre-installed inside the tower doesn't give them the space they need to operate the crane. And so they have to carefully lift the bolts into place themselves. In an ideal world, this risk would be designed out at the design stage. This is by far the most effective time to make improvements that can help to keep people safe. However, the potential for faults or ergonomic issues to be discovered once the operatives begin working in the environment is always there. Which is why it's so important that when you encounter problems like this, you stop and let your supervisor or manager know so they can pass your feedback along. And with this feedback, new workarounds can be considered and incorporated into future designs, creating a cycle of constant improvement that addresses both the personal and the engineering requirements. By sharing your solutions with your supervisor, quality manager, or H&S team, they can share them and everyone can benefit from your ideas. And you can benefit from their ideas too. That's how, together, we can make things safe by design.